During a White House briefing yesterday, President Trump repeated his threats to decimate Iran's infrastructure if the regime does not agree to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by his deadline tonight.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition.
Now, in his column for the Free Press, Eli Lake warns that action would hurt the Iranian people, writing, quote, "Destroying Iran's power plants would only advance the misery of America's allies on the ground." We should note the Free Press and CBS News share Paramount Skydance as a parent company. Eli Lake is also the host of the Breaking History podcast, and he joins us now to discuss all this. Eli, good morning. So your article is quite interesting. What do you make then of the president repeating his threats yesterday, even after being asked if they constitute a war crime?
I hope that he's bluffing. I hope that this is a tactic to try to get negotiations with, the people in charge in Iran right now to allow free navigation of the Strait of Hormuz. And he is hoping that this kind of threat will coerce them into changing their position and stop threatening shipping in the strait. My point is that if he does this, I think any military gain that he has by further, making it almost very difficult for the Revolutionary Guard Corps to continue their attacks against the region and the United States, that there will be far more of a price paid by the Iranian people, who he has encouraged, and he encouraged yesterday, will have a moment to finally reclaim their country. And not only do I think, hitting the power plants could potentially turn the people against the United States. I don't think they'll ever support the regime. But I also think that it's much harder if you are an Iranian to go out into the streets and ultimately demonstrate and take those risks if you are living in utter desperation because there is no electricity. You're thinking about basic needs at that point. It probably creates a refugee crisis. Right. So in my view, I think the big strategic goal here is not just defanging Iran's military, which is ahead of schedule and is going very well. In the end, it's getting the Iranian people to revoke the regime that ultimately stole the 1979 Islamic Revolution and has been, I believe, an illegitimate regime since 1979.
And Eli, as our Liz Palmer just laid out, the Iranian people are suffering throughout all of this. You say this would be a gift to the enemy if Mr. Trump was to hit civilian infrastructure. What other options then, in our last few seconds, does the president have?
I think that there should be a very serious plan about turning on the internet for the Iranian people. There are ways to do that by literally sending teams to the buildings where the internet service providers connect the internet to the World Wide Web, and turning them back on and trying to secure those facilities. I think that there are also cyber weapons that the United States has that can blind and further blind the enemies' internal communications. So that's an important thing. And I think that you could make an argument that going after certain oil facilities, even going after certain bridges, is worth it in terms of that calculus, that it really will make it harder to move material and weapons around the country. But hitting power plants, especially all of Iran's power plants, the way that Trump has threatened, and in many ways, I just think would be, what they call in soccer an own goal.
Right. No, a really interesting perspective that you have and that you've thought out. Eli Lake, we appreciate you joining us from Washington.
Thank you so much.